Good morning, Blue Jays fans, and welcome to Jays Latest. I'm your host, Craig Borden, and we're going to talk all things Toronto Blue Jays here this morning. And we're going to talk prep for a big series as we talk all things going on in the Rogers Center Skydome tonight. So let's talk what we've been up to first. This team has been incredibly resilient. It's been push bumps, all kinds of weird things have happened throughout this Major League Baseball season, and yet the Toronto Blue Jays still seem to come out laughing and on top of most of those situations. I did choose my words carefully, most of those situations. So, in that vein, we'll talk how this team has come back from many games and done that. The Blue Jays currently have 79 wins on the season, or 78 wins on the season, and they have come back to win in 40 of those games. There's only one or two teams that have more come behind wins than the Blue Jays, and it's the LA Dodgers. And they've also have four ninth inning comebacks, the Dodgers, where the Blue Jays have three. The Seattle Mariners are the only team that have more comeback in the ninth innings, and they have five. Slightly crazy, slightly obnoxious. Zero, oh my God. It just shows what this team is capable of doing, even after the hole has gotten dug to, move back in the right direction, keep things moving. So as this team progresses toward eventually, hopefully, a playoff berth, the Blue Jays are currently ranked in the power rankings in the top five, and it's been like that for many weeks. If you have not been paying attention or not have seen how the MLB power ranks work, it is a fun way to just compare teams. Shows who's hot, shows who's not, shows what's gone well, what's gone bad over the last week in baseball for that team. Right now, we are currently in fourth place on the MLB Power Rankings out of obviously 30 Major League Baseball teams. And there's an interesting stat here that I'm not too sure if I'm terribly proud of at the moment. Blue Jays apparently have a Major League Baseball record over the past week in their game against the Miami Marlins that went through 12 innings, which eventually led to a Toronto Blue Jays win in a resilient fashion, like I had mentioned. So, but the biggest piece to that whole thing is the Blue Jays became the only MLB team in the modern baseball era to blow a lead in the 9th, 10th, 11th, and still win a baseball game. So that is very interesting, very intriguing, but not exactly the one I want to be in the record books for at the same time. Over the last week, as we have all been very privy to, our weakness and our Achilles heel has been the bullpen. Over the last week in Blue Jays baseball, we have an MLB worst bullpen ERA of 6.21. That is obviously parts of things like Jeff Hoffman, Louis Varland, a company that have been having some rough weeks. So hopefully the team bounces back and we can get further into that. But at the end of the day, we already know that the bullpen has been a rough spot for the Toronto Blue Jays. And if things land in a different fashion, you'd have Yimi Garcia, Nick Sandlin, and whatnot that are also currently rehabbing and not showing any signs of joining the team anytime soon. So there is that piece to it. But party people, that's just how it falls sometimes. And this team has been finding ways to get around those kind of things. And they've been doing a pretty good job of doing that. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, and we got to keep moving forward. Currently, the Blue Jays have, I was trying to find this stat, we're in the middle of the pack on the season as a bullpen. Team ERA of the bullpen on the season is 4.03, which puts us exactly at number 8 in the American League East, which is basically the dead middle. So nothing elite, nothing crazy, nothing monstrous. And when you even look at the MLB as a whole, we would maybe be the metric that sets the league average. So, like I said, falling dead center into those statistics is what it is. But teams moving along. We're obviously scoring runs, which winning cures all, everybody. So let's talk those standings really quick before we talk into who is coming to town. Blue Jays are still holding on to the division. We are currently, like I said, 78, and I lost it. 78 and 56 lead in the American League East. We do have the second best record in Major League or in the American League East. Um, Actually, we are technically the best right now because we are a half a game ahead of the Detroit Tigers for the best record in the division. Detroit Tigers currently 78 and 57, but in the American League East, do not get too comfortable. The Boston Red Sox gained a half a game with us having the off day yesterday, 75 and 60, and the New York Yankees just a half game behind them with a 74 and 60 record. That's 3.5 games and 4 games respectively for the two teams leading the American League wild card. Also nipping at their heels is the Seattle Mariners, and those three teams are going to be in a heck of a race for the last month of baseball here. Right at their pieces of that right behind them are the Kansas City Royals, the Texas Rangers as the next foreseeable formidable allies. But those 5 teams are within a few games of each other. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And then after that, it drops to teams that are below or at 500. Moving right along, we are going to talk all things Brewers. The Brew Crew is the best team in baseball, and it's not by a short stretch either. They're running away with the National League, and it's been fun to watch. This is one of the best stories in baseball, with them currently at an 83 and 52 record. This is something you wouldn't have had on your bingo card, your crystal ball, anything come the beginning of the Major League Baseball season. The Brewers have been insanely good. Insanely good. Over the last 10, they finally hit a stumble, but they went on a tear. I forget how many games in a row they won, but it was at least 14. 4 and 6 over their last 10, and they have currently lost 2. It's been a hell of a season for the Milwaukee Brewers, and we very well might have a World Series preview on our hands right now after the Brewers, get out of Arizona a little bit here is where they had the rough spot. But they are 38 and 28 on the road. Just to put that in perspective, the Blue Jays are exactly 34 and 34 at 500 on the road, but they play pretty good against teams that are above 500. The Blue Jays have been 38 and 31 against teams in over 500. The Milwaukee Brewers, similar statistics against that, 39 and 23 against teams better than the 500 record. Biggest thing is the pitching has been insanely good for the Milwaukee Brewers. Blue Jays have allowed 604 runs this season. The Milwaukee Brewers have only allowed 529 runs this year. So there's only a couple teams that are even in the ballpark of the 529 runs allowed this season. And oddly, it's the Kansas City Royals and the San Diego Padres that are right around that. I'm surprised by that. You would assume it's another team, but the pitching has been solid for the Milwaukee Brewers. And as we move toward what is going to be game 1 against the Milwaukee Brewers, we are going to get Shane Bieber versus Freddie Peralta. And if you talked about this at the beginning of the season and both of these fine gentlemen were healthy, this would have been one of those matchups you would have wanted to circle on your calendar. Shane Bieber, fresh off of his wonderful first outing for the Toronto Blue Jays. This will be his first outing at the Sky Dome. So get loud, get crazy. It is going to be a fun night with him on the mound. He's picked up a win in his first start as a Blue Jay, only allowed the 1 earned run, 2 hits, while striking out 9 over his first 6 innings as a Blue Jay. So very great to see a Cy Young award-winning type caliber pitcher join the Toronto Blue Jays. Meanwhile, on the other side of the field here, Freddie Peralta is having himself what could be a Cy Young award-winning year. You go by old school, passing the eye test and not looking at all the sabermetrics. 15 wins and 5 losses with a 2.68 ERA might have actually sealed this gentleman a Cy Young award. He's been insanely good this year, and he's been even tracking very well over his last 7 games. In 36 innings, he's only allowed 11 earned runs, but walked 20. I'm good. So, Freddie Peralta has been a wonderful bright spot for the Milwaukee Brewers. Always been a great pitcher, but he has definitely taken things up a notch this season. He's not had a above 4 ERA since 2019. So he's been running very well for a while. So, on that note, the Beebs will be taking him on in game one tonight against the Milwaukee Brewers. So make sure you tune in. Thank you, everybody, for showing up and doing all the wonderful things you've done here with us on Jay's Latest. So happy to have all of you. Keep hitting those like, subscribe, share buttons, and send them to your friends. We're here every day. We want to hear from you. Also, make sure you check out my other show, Jay Bird Watching, where we do a live show every week. We just had the voice of the Buffalo Bisons on to talk all things Trey Savage and all the wonderful prospects that the Blue Jays have been seeing come through the minor league system of late. So check that out. That is on jaybirdwatching.com, as in jbluejay.com. So anyway, have a great day. Go Blue Jays and get some Bieber fever tonight. Cheers, everybody.